Good morning, everybody. It's Joe Solari, and this is the Business of Writing, and it's our co-host friend for how long we've been doing this? 4 years now. Craig Martelle.
At least.
Yeah.
Craig Martelle coming to you live from the subarctic, where it is still dark and will remain dark for, it's 5:45 here, so it'll remain dark for another 2.5 hours before sun comes up and kind of lights us.
Cool. Well, and you just got back from your trek across the United States, the lower 48.
The epic 20 books drive across America, 15 stops over 16 days, met over 400 people for dinners at various locations and various one-on-ones and small group meetings, and just showing the flag, motivating people, letting them know that the world's still turning and that they still matter, and that the businesses are still cranking. I think there's never been a better time to be an author, a self-published author.
For sure. And I think that's an important point. And you and I were just down at NINC, and while you'd had that experience of driving around, and I had been, I was actually at NINC last year, and I've been to some other author retreats. For those folks that have been kind of hunkered down at home, welcome back. Come on out. It's going to be okay. We're all going to.
The world is still turning. Yeah.
It's even better. I think that's the sweet part of that whole thing is catching up with people you haven't seen face to face. I mean, it's fine when we do these, Zoom things, but that all becomes kind of abstract after 18 months of everything being on Zoom. So,
yeah.
Well, we should just dive into this. We've been a little bit remiss in our quarterly updates. We're a little bit behind, but you've been a very busy boy planning what's going to be the largest show ever of independent authors.
By far and away. We've got 800 people registered for 20 Books Vegas. We've got about 150 sessions and might have 12 sessions going simultaneously. And that is a huge logistic challenge to make sure that it's all on track. But we've got a great group of volunteers, the audiovisual team run by Ira Heineschen. We've got the vendor group run by Jamie Davis. We've got the check-in is run by my sister, Tammy. And I think she has 25 volunteers to make sure we get these 1,800 people checked in and rapidly moved over to get their badges, get their swag, and get the hell into the conference and start meeting people and talking to people. Jim Slater, both logistics as well as the room monitors, good volunteers, good people committed to it. The overall aura of the conference will be extremely positive. People will get there. You'll meet your people. You'll talk about the business. No talk. It's Vegas. The weather's the same all the time in November. A little bit cool, a little bit warm, whatever.
In a hotel, no need to talk about the weather all the time.
Yeah, I don't have immediate access to the pool like you had at Samstown, but the environment is so much better because it's the Strip. Within 10 minutes, I think we published a PDF. Then within 10 minutes, there's 40 different restaurants you can go to, and that's a 10-minute walk. And I actually walked and did that perimeter to see, okay, this is within a 10-minute walk of a normal walking speed, not power walking or anything.
Well, just on that, like a lot of people probably don't know that when they built Paris, the hotel, they purposely connected those hotels because they were using Harrah's gambling license, Bally's gambling license. That was the way they got around it in the beginning. So that just those two places there, God, I don't know how many, 3 times the restaurants that were
20, 25 maybe. Plus Bally's has that the subway connector, so you could walk downstairs, go catch that monorail, and hop over to a different hotel and be there in 5 minutes, or be there in 2 minutes if you catch it when the monorail arrives. So many good things, and Bally's is a Caesars property, so right across the way you've got Caesars. You can see the Bellagio fountain from Bally's. You've Paris is a Caesar's property, so all kinds of good cross pollination of things you can do outside of the conference. But we have 100,000 square feet all to ourselves with 1,800 people. We've got a lot of space for people to meet, greet, hang out, go to sessions, dive in rooms that aren't busy in between sessions, and just find your tribe and talk. What you'll find is face to face as opposed to Zoom. You're going to learn a lot of extra things. You're going to learn those nuggets, and you're going to learn the foundational stuff, because everybody's foundation is cracked or missing a little bit in one way or another. And shoring that up will assure your long-term success. And that's what the conference is about, is long-term success. It's not, hey, how do I sell 5 more books tomorrow? And that's my goal. If you have that goal, good on you. However, I think we can do a little better than that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's been really lost in the pandemic as far as the community is that ongoing work together to figure out how to build great author businesses, right? It's not just like, hey, what are these hacks that I need to know? It's like the people sitting around at those conferences and thinking through like, hey, what is it we're trying to do in our genre? Like, what's the experience? What are the things that, and certainly things come out of that, like, hey, this is working for me. This hasn't working for me. And, you brainstorm for some new things to try out, but that inspiration that, I always think back to like, Gertrude Stein's salon where, Picasso and Matisse and Ernest Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald, they're all hanging out there. And there's this, cooperation and competition and envy and all this crazy stuff that makes all of these people better out of just hanging out. Like they weren't getting there saying, hey, how can I be a better artist? They were saying, hey, how does this affect what I'm doing? Or how can I learn from what other people are doing? Or just hearing these other people that are inspiring to you that are maybe a few steps down the road further than you. What they're doing makes, stuff happen you would never, ever figure out on your own.
Well, and you have the pub in Oxford where J.R.R. Tolkien and G.K. Chesterton and G.K. Chesterton and C.S. Lewis hung out, and they talked, and they produced incredibly insightful and impactful works. So it wasn't just talking. They went away and they did stuff, because there are a lot of authors who spend a lot of time talking and not a lot of time doing.
Amen.
And that's, it's okay in Vegas to spend a lot of time talking, but then when you go back home, you take your notepad out and start doing. Spend the time doing until next show. When I'm thinking we'll probably have about 2,500 next year. Because the world is, people are going to have to get out of their houses. They got to leave.
Yeah. Well, and so maybe this is before we kind of dive into your business, one kind of thing to think about if you're getting ready to go to the show is before you go, understand where your business is today, right? Like, what was your plan before you went to 20 books? Like, what are you thinking about doing over the next 12 months as a baseline, and what you think that was going to deliver to you, right? Because when you come back, you're going to have all these crazy ideas and you're going to be inspired to do all this stuff. And you maybe have like 2 or 3 things of people like, oh, I want to co-write with you, or I want to do this. Then you can take that and layer it against what you thought was a good plan. And it can help you decide like, okay, maybe I should just stick to my original plan. Or maybe this one thing or these 3 things are better for me to do than what I had planned, right? So you have a reference point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could have what's really horrible is you're like, I have too many ideas and too many possibilities. I don't even know what to do. You just sit there looking
and
at
you get paralyzed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, like with my clients, this happens on a regular basis where we have to go back to the financial model and say, that is a fantastic idea. Is it something that we should reallocate resources to? Or do we finish what we're doing and just maybe move that further out? Like you go back and talk to that author or that idea, move that idea to 2022 or 2023. And that like sometimes the author's like, no, like this thing has to happen now because of what's going on in the market. And they know I don't. I'm just there as a sounding board to say, okay, well, that means you lose some of this work. That's okay, right? If it gives you first mover advantage, that's awesome. But on the other hand, it's really easy to chase butterflies in this industry, especially when you go to something like 20 books. Holy shit, you're going to have so many things thrown at you and like so many cool ideas, and like no matter where you go.
Got to avoid passion projects when you're building your business.
Yeah.
When you're building your business, you've got to stay focused on what it takes to shore up that foundation and start building your pyramid toward the top.
Yeah. So I think this is a good segue. Like you're a guy who's got a lot of irons in the fire, yet your single biggest revenue source is your personal publishing. So like,
my fiction. Oh yeah. I don't make any money off 20 books. That's the crazy part of it. The conference and all of that. It's giving back. Yeah. It's a significant investment. It's a couple thousand hours a year. Giving back, and next year I hired a full-time employee because I'm tapped out, and it's wearing me down. Just emails when you have 1,800 attendees is enough, and everybody has small problems that can be handled quickly until you have to answer 200 emails quickly. You can't do that quickly, especially with my internet. So I have a full-time employee that will handle all of those. Hey, here's an eventee invite update. So you can check this new email and stuff like that, handle all of that and take the burden off my shoulders so I can focus on making sure we get the best content possible for our attendees next year.
So how do you kind of manage
23
that?
and 24.
Yeah. Like how do you,
what do you mean?
Like, granted, you're going to hire an employee, but like how do you personally compartmentalize these different parts of your business? I think that's, from a productivity standpoint, that's a pretty important skill set to have.
Now I keep most of it in my mind, which is a challenge for if anything happened to me, who picks up after I'm gone? And there are certain things and people I trust 100%, like Jamie Davis handling the vendors. He's taking care of that. I trust that that's good. And come Monday, they're going to be all in place and set up and presenting, and people go through and talk to them, and everybody will get what they wanted to from those conversations and from those engagements. So I have no doubt Ira has been running AV since 2017. So I have no doubt that stuff will be done well. And we contracted $105,000 for professional video and audio. So we will have some professional recordings. We're going to have wired internet for our recordings. Within every session will be recorded, except for certain ones, like the ones presented remotely, because we've got to use our equipment to accept and somebody zooming in. And then, so we're not going to record it. Yes, I know you can record that, but then that would be like a one-sided conversation as opposed to recording. Hey, here's their presentation and here's them talking. It's not going to be as good or high quality. So we're not going to try to record those because it would be half-assed at best. Without a huge additional investment. Like I said, we already spent $105,000 on helping people at home and helping those people at the conference who you can only go to one session. If there's 12 simultaneously, which one do you go to? And that doesn't mean that you don't get the information from the other 11. You just have to watch it at another time. And that is a shortcoming. And I'm not going to bag on Nick, but that's a shortcoming there because you go to one. If there's two sessions at the same time that you want to go to, so sorry, you're only going to get info from one. Yeah.
Well, their premise there is that, what happens there is confidential, right? So they can't record in the hope that, they don't want to have that get out to the public. But you're absolutely right. I know for like in the past, just being at 20 books, like I've had the fortune that my wife comes, right? So like we could always like split forces. But like the worst thing that happens is like she comes back and says, "Oh, that session was awesome. I can't believe what I learned." And then it's like, now you got me hanging. At least I can go back and watch the video, right? Like I don't just have to work
Yep.
off her scratch notes.
Yep. Yep. And just a different approach. But I mean, for me personally, it's good to be the king and the director of the conference, because if I have any questions, I'll just go ask the presenter and pull them to the side for 5 minutes and be very, very focused. Hey, here's an issue I'm having, or here's something I saw you do. Can you explain that more?
Mm-hmm.
And get some private one-on-one time. So I don't make any money off 20 books to 50K, but I make a lot of money off the relationships I've established as part of 20 books to 50K. And that's not leveraging people or, hey, can you promote my book because you're Joe Solari? And no, not that at all. It's just, hey, on this business element, as we were talking about with costs and cash flow earlier, because this is me and Joe, we always talk cash flow. The asking very specific questions, you're going to get a good and specific answer. And those things help me. And that's what I take back, as well as the ability to send an email to anybody at any point in time and be pretty sure that I'm going to get an answer, because people know who I am. And that it's not, hey, I got to leverage Craig because I got to have a good relationship. No, I mean, just, hey, we're all in this together. We're all peers, no matter where we are on our journey. And especially that's especially true in Vegas for folks who have never published before. When you get to Vegas and you're there, hey, everybody's the same. My badge is going to look like everybody else's. I don't have all these things on, conference director, biggest, dickest, or whatever titles people may assign to me. No, it's just my name on my badge. And actually, I just went with first name, Craig, sci-fi. That's what my badge says, because I've actually already have it filled out, because once again, I'm me. And of course I have the badge ahead of time. And that's
it's filled out 3 weeks ago.
Well, I'm torn because it was filled out last year. Because 2020, we did all the work for the conference, and then the conference never happened because Sam's canceled on us. So that was tragic. I mean, doing all that work and then no conference. But I'm torn because I've been to every conference, needless to say, and I've got all the badges, and now it's a pretty substantial stack and really heavy. So I think I'm just not going to do that this year and just wear my 2021 badge and
I don't know,
and go with that.
I don't agree. I think you even if you had come out with like neck pain, like I'm going heavy. I already got mine out. I was like, Susie, where are they? Because we moved since then. So it's like, I better not have lost that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Hang on. We are. Oh yeah. Look at
oh, you got extras.
God. Well, that's because Adelaide.
Oh yeah. See you. Yeah, I forget. You've got all of them. Like I'm just like talking Vegas.
Yeah. Adelaide, Bali. Yeah. You didn't go to Bali, man. No. You missed it big time there.
No, I missed that one.
That's you missed that one. That's one out of all of them you went to. That's the first one you should have gone to.
Yeah.
Way to go. Because we went from, we had 38 authors there. And at the time we had, I think 2 7-figure authors and I think 6 or 7 6-figure authors. And now I think we have 6 or 7 7-figure authors and 12 to 15 6-figure authors out of that group. Because the people who came for that are in it long term, and makes a huge difference building that foundation and business, establishing that business attitude towards, we need great content. Yes, we have great content. Now, how do we make sure we translate this into a business? So that was the conference for moving forward. Now we got Madrid next year.
I'll be there.
I think 2023, I think we're going to do Cabo as the Bali, but those tickets will be about $10,000 each. That's a discriminator to make sure that we keep the quality of the conversations up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was just, Elise and I were looking at numbers for the conference. And so in our private client group, we have 13 clients now. And year to date, they have generated $10.4 million in gross royalties.
Hey, not too bad. Not too bad. I'm the little league guy, man. Because as we're going to talk, I'm just under $250,000 for this year, and but the huge October, November, and December are just going to be absolutely massive, as demonstrated already in October. The first book published in October, and I've got 10 books that are going to publish, 10 or 11 that are going to publish between October and December. Books that I've been stockpiling since last year. And I've been working on a few co-authored titles, I think 6 individually written titles. And the first book, it's still ranked 450, published the beginning of October. And so making really, really good money every single day.
And which genre is this in?
Military sci-fi and space opera, my 2 heavy hitter genres. I've got one thriller coming out, the Ian Bragg. It's already done. It's with the narrator. It's with the it's everywhere it needs to be, waiting to get done, and hopefully we'll get a simultaneous audio release with it that publishes on November 26th. But I've got a huge number of promos, and something that we've done as well at the end of the year is run a lot of promos, box sets that we've had for 3 years. They'll go on sale for 99 cents. Here, get 6 books for 99 cents. And November, December, just massive for promotions. And we've been building those for a long, long time. So I'm thinking, because I've been averaging just a shade under, the last quarter was just a shade under 30,000 a month, between a huge number of revenue streams now, because I publish with 4 different publishing companies, indies, as well as my traditional publishing house. And last month was a goose egg because of the freaking returns from the previous quarter ate up any kind of profit that I was going to get. So I got a goose egg from my trad publisher. And the good news is I got to buy those books that they returned at $4 each. Yeah. So I bought all of them. They said, "Oh, Smart. Hey, we have all these returns." And so I bought them for $4 each. Yeah. And so, yes, I will get my money back on those, because I've got a Alaska Comic-Con. They love Alaska books, and this is the End Times Alaska series. So I'm going to be selling those books there and getting my money back on that opportunity. I've got affiliate income that has done pretty well. I've got audio income that is picking up and doing better. I mean, I still haven't cracked the audio nut, but have done pretty well. And just other revenue streams. And it's not just ACX audio; it's ACX, it's Tantor, it's Dreamscape. More than one audio stream. So,
yeah, I have to say, especially in science fiction, that strategy of understanding how there's a completely different audience out there of audio listeners is an opportunity some genres just don't have, right? Because I can point to people that they can say today that their ebook and KU earnings are 50% of their business now, but they've gone up year over year. It's just that audio has grown that much faster. But it's like running another business, right? There, you can't just throw them all in one bucket and treat them the same, because a lot of these audio listeners, they're a completely different breed. They want to be treated different. You have to market different because of you've got some limitations with audio that you have with the ebook and print stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if you came back in a couple quarters and said it's really, really taking off now that you've put some time into that.
But my KU to sales, because it used to be a solid 2-to-1, like 70% KU income from Amazon and 30% sales. That has balanced out now. It's about 50-50. So I'm getting the good thing is I've got a lot of full price books that are selling. and selling at full price just because I'll run a discount like November, December, and that's it. I'm not going to run discount on those other books throughout the rest of the year. And if people want to wait, that's fine. But they're paying for convenience. And that's one thing the 21st century has taught us is people are willing to pay for convenience. And that convenience is read this good book now. Keeping the quality up. Quality is critical. I think I've improved my writing over the years in such a way that the quality of the stories is where it needs to be for long-term revenue maintenance as well as growth.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest parts about this business is that you only get better over time, right? Like, how many millions of words have you written now?
I think I'm closing in on 6.
Yeah, so right. If you don't get better over 6 million words, like
you're not listening to any feedback. You're just
right,
writing in a vacuum. Yep, that's
yeah,
right.
You're constitutionally incapable of being a good writer then, right? So
yeah.
that it's like that piece, and then the audience piece that you just can't take the time component out of that, right? Like, the cool thing is that you can make money along the way while you're kind of learning on the job.
Yeah, that's right. You can. One of my biggest sellers, my Free Traders series, which I have as a complete omnibus edition, that's still one of my leading money winners. And the Free Trader 1 was the second book I ever wrote. And I never went back in. I mean, I had it professionally edited later, but I didn't go back in and rewrite it. I mean, I may go in and say, let me tweak a sentence or two and then re-upload the ebook, but the paperback is still the same way it was 5 years ago. It's and it's good enough because it's a good story, as opposed to it's offensive in both the technical details as well as it's just not a good story. Well, the good thing is it's a good story, and out there, I think by reading so damn much, I read thousands of science fiction books and understood here's a good story that this makes sense.
Yeah,
that this will keep the reader turning the page.
Yeah. And I think that's a real conundrum all authors face. Before we got onto recording, we were talking about a situation of an author with a big series, their big main series, and the beginning of the series is weak compared to where they are as a writer today. They've written 20 books, so like they've of course they've improved. And as an author, do you go back and rework those books? It's a tough choice, right? Like, do you keep at this end of the tail where you're more invested because you want to see the story unfold, or do you go back and look at the beginning where it's like, hey, if I'm being purely, from a business focus, if I fix the front end of this funnel, it's going to get more people through.
And this comes down to a business decision on understanding the value of your time. Are you able to create new content in the time it takes, or are you going to go back and you can rewrite that first book and then redo it from a marketing perspective? And if you can rewrite your book in 20 hours as opposed to writing a new book in 80 hours, are you getting the value for that extra 60 hours that you didn't invest? And that answer might be yes. But if it isn't, and in my case, going back and writing the Free Trade, I've already sold over 100,000 copies of Free Trader books. So not really. Yeah. I mean, I may at some point in time, but that's when I'm bored out of my mind and just don't feel like writing a new book. I may go back and rewrite, but that's the only reason. From a business perspective, it makes no sense for me to invest those 20 writing hours on old content that has already sold extremely well.
Yeah.
So and to a point that series is done, new potential, new opportunity, and that's my new military sci-fi that just published at the beginning of this month. Still sub 500 ranking, 300 reviews. It's been out for 16 days now. Over 300 reviews, sub 500 ranking the entire time. So it is making really, really good money day in, day out. And the second book has already sold a huge number of pre-orders. The third book even has sold a huge number of pre-orders, and those are both at full price. Once again, it's convenience, the quality of the story. I think this is the huge selling point, and a lot of people in 20 books miss this, is that, hey, you just got to get 20 books out there. Well, it helps to build your backlist as quick as you can, but you still got to have that good quality. And you'll see I'm giving a presentation in Vegas called the perfection paradox, because at what point is it good enough? And that goes back to, do you rewrite that first book, or do you let it fly because it's good enough? I can go back and look at that first book and want to rewrite every sentence because it's oh my God, look at this. But then there are sections where it's like, this is brilliant. This is great. Look at this. It really draws the reader. It excites the emotions. No matter what you do with a book, the readers will always remember how it made them feel. And because I have a cat, a talking cat who's a total asshole in that book, the readers embrace that, and they remember how it makes them feel, how it relates to cats that they had. And I think it was a great connection for that series. So the value of your time in building the highest quality product that you can, it's critical for long-term success. You can have a great blurb, have a great cover, and sell a lot of copies of book one. But if nobody is buying book two, you have not won the game. You have won the moment, but you're not going to win the game. And you'll be gone in a year or two because, hey, oh my God, I'm writing these books and nobody's buying them. Yeah. And you'll be gone because you're going to give up because you didn't focus on craft sufficiently to keep moving forward, to keep the readers coming back. And that's with this new sci-fi series. That's with every book I'm publishing this fall. I've read every word in these things, the co-written ones, and I've punched up a lot. I've added 10, 20,000 words as necessary to make sure that these books jived with what my readers will expect, with what I like to read. And I think I'm a great bellwether for my readership, is if I like it, then they'll like it too. Now, I may not like writing it, but my beta readers are the ones that are the yes or no. They say, yes, this is good.
Well, and I think that's a good example of learning on the job, right? Like it wasn't last year, maybe it was the year before, where you did some writing where you had other
co-authored work,
co-author stuff that didn't go. Like, so it's like, there's a couple ways you can go from there. It's like, I'm never going to co-write again, or I'm going to learn how to do this so that it works. Right. Yeah. Because I have a lot of people talk to me like, oh, I want to co-write, or I want to build a publishing business. I'm like, that's great. Just understand that everything's got its trade-offs, right? It's not like you're going to work. If you think you're going to work less, that's where you've got the misconception. It's going to be different. It's going to be different. Right. And so now you're not necessarily on your keyboard typing, but you are reading these books and you're having to mentor people, and you're going to, maybe if you're using, ghostwriters, you may get bad product that requires you to come in at the 11th hour to fix all that stuff. Yeah. Like, if you think it's not going to happen to you, then you're just going to learn from your own experience instead of others.
Yeah. Well, and I don't use ghostwriters. If I collaborate, and the other author is on the cover. But we did use a ghostwriter when Tommy Donovan died. We used a ghostwriter to flesh out the remaining 3 books of his series. The first book was okay. The second book needed probably 80% rewritten, and the third book needed 100% rewritten. So it was my pleasure to pay $5,000 for a total pile of shit that I couldn't use. And me and Michael Anderle, we footed the bill on that, and it was horrendous. So I finally finished rewriting that 2 years after Tommy D passed away, and that book 6 comes out. What is it? 21st, 1 week from today. Book 6 will come out, and that's pretty much a Craig Martelle unique story. Same with book 5, a Craig Martelle special. Written for Tommy D, because I promised him like a week before he passed away that I will make sure these get published. And I had been remiss, and finally, because I'd counted on somebody else to rewrite it, and she finally punted after having it for a little over a year. I was like, no, I need to do this because I made the promise, so I can't push that promise off on anyone else. So that, and it comes down to time. It's one of those things I really wanted to live up to that promise, and finally got that done. But the time, I was, hey, I'm just going to pay the money because right now that's worth less than my time. And crap, I paid the money and I got to invest all the time. So it was the worst of both worlds. Because I don't use ghostwriters, I have zero ability to find a good one. And I trusted a company and got just totally boned.
Yeah. And I think that that's the part that gets lost in translation when you hear about people that are doing this, right? It's like, oh, well, they can put all these books because they got ghostwriters or they do this. It's like, whoa, okay, let's understand the business model is they have taken on financial risk that you don't have as an individual author. And a lot of times it doesn't work out. And I can say from my experience of being behind the scenes and seeing multiple people who've done that, every single one of them at some point has had the exact same experience you've had, where they've had to do the diving catch to save a series because the ghostwriter quit or somehow they just gave up. And it's never they gave up on book one. It's like book 3, 6 weeks before launch.
I've had 2. We signed contracts with Dreamscape for the audio for a 6-book series and for an 8-book series. And Ghost disappeared after book 5. And the other Ghost disappeared after book 7, and not Ghost co-authors, but it was work for hire. So, but still disappeared, ghosted me. Nice. So I had to write book 6, and then I had to write book 8. Once again, did not have the time. So, got to pay. And then, oh, by the way, got to write it myself anyway. So, I absolutely refuse to use a ghostwriter or any work for hire people anymore. I'm just not going to do that because my experiences have been so phenomenally bad. And it goes to cash flow because you're paying $3,000, $5,000 right now. And oh, by the way, you don't get a product you can use, and now you got to invest the 80 hours writing the shit up yourself. Yeah. And you owe it to your readers. So it's not writing shit; it's writing a quality product that the readers will buy and deserve. You got to treat your readers like gold. So giving them the best product possible. And that's what we're doing this fall. That's why my numbers are way up in October. They're going to be huge in November. They're going to be even huger, to use a cool term, even huger in December, as we're running a lot of promotions. We didn't talk about costs. My ad spend is down because of new releases. With new releases, Amazon pushes the products, and we have hit nirvana with the last military sci-fi title, in that Amazon is now recommending it to people. So I'll hear from readers, hey, I bought this book from some so-and-so, and they said, oh, by the way, if you like this, you may like this. And it was my Battleship Leviathan. And it's like, that is, when people talk about algo love, that is exactly it. Because Amazon has 4 books they put in at the bottom of, if you like this, you might like these. And isn't that cool when it's one of your books? And the only way you're going to get there is you sell an awful lot of copies of those books. So huge promotion that we ran at launch to get that book in front of people, and they liked it. They reviewed it. They bought books 2 and 3. Book 2 is sub 10,000 on ranking, and it has been for pretty much within 2 days after book 1 launched, because people read it, liked it, bought book 2, bought book 3. So already, if you calculate my read through, I think we're at 25% read through, and I don't even have book 2 out yet. And that book 2 is at full price. And so we launched book 1 at 99 cents and did all the promotions that you could do for a discounted title. Whereas if you launch a book at full price, trying to find paid promotions that will have some kind of ROI is extremely challenging. I mean, you can put it out there and say it's KU and try to get people to borrow it and read it. But I tell you what, 99-cent launch was absolutely massive.
Yeah, we've talked about this on and off air for a while, and some of the stuff that I'm doing with folks. It's these people that have invested in their audiences the way you have, right? That long-term commitment to getting series, to delivering on time. Like, they're not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in advertising anymore. They may have in the past. But it's like I know of several books right now that have been in the top 100 for weeks, and there's either no advertising
Yep.
or it's just a smidge. It's like less than $20 a day kind of stuff. And, you know, when I shared about the gross level of some of my clients, that's not what I'm proud of. What I'm proud of is the fact that we're seeing them take home 35 to 55 cents of every dollar that comes in the door pre-tax. Like it's the money at the bottom line, the cash flow that comes out. And a big component of that is getting it to where your audience and your community are doing the marketing for you, or you're sending such a pure signal into the marketplace that it's just obvious to Amazon to say, well, of all these people that we could promote, this one's going to be the easiest for us to sell more books. It's Craig Martelle. It's, they're doing it mathematically, right? They're saying, okay, your conversion rate is 15% better than anything else in that genre. We're going to send it to all these people, right?
Yep.
And you get those benefits because of that long, slow work, right? The building of the community that's taken, you've been doing this for 5 or 6 years, really hard, full time, right?
I've got 12,000 on my list now, and that's a pretty good list. 12,000. I had 30% open on my my last newsletter, but that I hit all 12,000 and not just the active subscribers. So it was a really, really good return. And one thing you talked about there was conversion rate from Amazon's perspective. That is important because you can push thousands of copies of a book and still not get the algo love if you have to show it to 100,000 people to get 2,000 to buy. If you can show it to 10,000 people and get 2,000 to buy, Amazon says, we can show it to the other 90,000 and see if we can get you 20, 30,000 sales. And that's the difference. You get that 20% conversion. Anybody who pulls up this product page, 1 out of 5 buy it. Holy crap. Amazon loves you, especially if you're moving thousands of copies. So this is what algo love is all about. It's not just, hey, I sold 1,000 copies of my book. Well, okay, that's cool, but 99 cents, and you had to show it to hundreds of thousands of people to get that. That's their straight mathematical calculation. They're not going to fill in that extra 99% of people to try to get you more sales. You've got to get that conversion. So you have to have a great product page. You have to have a great product. You have to have great social proof. I know we don't talk about reviews in 20 books of 50K. And I personally am against ARCs. I don't do ARCs because I think that's a holdover from the traditional publishing days. And I think it's rife with abuse and can be manipulated. Not that you're paying people to give you 5-star reviews. No, but you have this ARC team of hundreds of people, and anybody gives you a 3-star or less, you remove them. So now you are manipulating the system in that you're only giving books to people who you know are going to give you 4 or 5 stars. And so now you get 100 reviews on the first day and you've got a 4.9 rating or a 5. And it's like, okay, what did you do? And most readers won't look at that, but they will look at the number of reviews. So having 300 in 2 weeks with a 4.5 rating, because the very first review was a 1-star, troll got me, and it popped up within minutes of the books going live. I'm like, how in the hell does that happen? Because my readers take 1 to 3 days for the review to post, and it's like, how in the hell did that happen? Amazon giving a little love to the trolls, and I'm up to 4.5 average on it. And that's fine, perfectly fine. And it's selling really well.
It's funny because I was just listening to Robert Cialdini, the guy that wrote Influence and Persuasion, and he was talking a whole thing about like the aggregate rating is important. Unconsciously, we discount anything that's 5.0 and we start questioning below 4.5. So like the real sweet spot is if your aggregate somewhere between like 4.7 and 4.5, that actually gets people to have an overall trust of your reviews. Because, we all know how this works now. It's like, there's 1,000 reviews and it's all 5.0. It's a Chinese bot farm.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, 4.5, 4 to 4.5. I think 4 even is a viable range, like 4 to 4.7, where it's showing half of a star is showing 4 stars to 4.5 stars. Readers look at that and say, "Oh, okay. Some people didn't like it, but most people did."
Yeah,
and people like that kind of approach.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, kind of, you're talking about with ARCs and that, where I think reviews are super important, but understand that folks like you that have been doing this a while, or I was just looking at Jeff Chaney's recent series,
Backyard Starship.
Yeah, like 1,000 reviews. It's been out a month, right?
Yeah,
and there are 99.
But it's 4.5.
Yeah, and they're all verified purchases, right? Because why? Because he has a massive audience that's been waiting for a while for a series. He's been conditioning them. Hey, this is what I'm working on. Can't tell you everything about it. It's gonna be really cool. It's my latest thing. I'm working on it with Terry Maggart. Bop, bop, bop. Comes out, they're ready, right?
Yeah.
And these aren't 99-cent launches either. Like this last one that came out.
$4.99.
Yeah.
And the second book in that series just came out at $5.99, and both of those books I think are both top 100 titles. I think first book is still top 100.
Yeah, it is. It's been in the top 100 since we were at NINC.
Pretty much since launch, I think. It was, and I picked it up. I'm like, what the hell? Because he's blocking me. I was number 2 behind him for a week and a half, and I'm like, hey, you're blocking me, you bastard. And I picked it up, and I'm like, oh, you deserve this. This is a freaking great book. It's a great concept, a great cover, and a great book. And $4.99. My next one's $4.99. It'll pop up to the top and own that part of it. But the management of reader expectations. You want a business? This is part of, you put your business hat on, but it's your artist hat too. It's where you meld both business and art, and making sure your readers are ready and you've conditioned them and you're having a great relationship with them in regards to, hey, here's me as an author. Here's a concept. Here's an idea. Here's some artwork. Isn't this cool? I love this part of the artwork. And you get them invested, and then the book comes out and they're like, yeah, I love this. You were right. And you're building your credibility as an author is incredibly important. And I think I took a huge hit on that in 2019 by doing co-authored titles that I didn't read the words, and I read some of this, and it was a debacle. I spent 4 times as much to make half what I made off a single month with one of my own titles, just one. And so I salvaged that year. I published 30 books the first half of the year. And the only way I salvaged that year was I only published my personal books. In the last half of the year, I published, I think, 5 or 6, only my books. And that half of the year, I made twice what I made in the first half. First half of the year, I didn't make any money because my outflow, you have 4 covers, you have 4 edits, you have 4 of everything, and you have marketing costs and crap. And now with just my 6 books hitting those, my advertising costs went down. Just like now with the frequent publication timing over the last 3 months of the year, my advertising costs are going down because my books are constantly in front of people. The new books, running the promotions, even with those, I'll probably still spend $12,000 is all on these last 3 months. $12,000 for what might be 120, 150,000 in income, in revenue.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, if you can not get sucked down the advertising hole, it's still a massively profitable business. I mean, you don't see margins like this in anything else. But I've seen a lot of author businesses where it's like, you'd be better selling pixie sticks. Like the margins are so bad. Oof.
Yeah. No, the last few months are rocking already, doing really, really well, both full price and discounted titles. And because of those promotions, hopefully Craig Martelle Books will fill a lot of brand new Kindles after Christmas. And come on, supply chain, get those Kindles into the stores so people can give them away for Christmas.
Yeah. And so before we kind of wrap up here, like you have this massive event going on with 20 books. Like I'm assuming that like the breast back this year is just trashed for you. So how have you kind of set yourself up so that, 2022 is going to be still kind of with the right momentum and humming along?
I'm not ready for 2022, man. I have
fair enough.
one book. I have one book right now that will be ready to publish in January 2022. I have a second book that may. It depends how long it takes me to write this first. I'm only averaging a few hundred words a day on new product, new content, because this conference is so all consuming right now, and all consuming of my creative mind, because I'm just so many little details, and I can't let them languish. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to do only writing for 2 or 3 hours. No, I can write focused for 10 or 15 minutes total, and then and then go do conference stuff. But for 2022, I've committed to, I think, 6 books total. 3 of them a follow-on series for the Battleship Leviathan, because that is doing so damn well, and the readers are all over it and loving it. So, and books 2 and 3 are even better than book 1. So if they like book 1, they're buying into the whole series. And so we'll do a supplemental, a second series. I'll have to take that first book, the 4th book in the series, and make sure it's a standalone, so it's a separate entry point into the series, so we don't have to count on a subset of a subset. As in, we can only get X number of people who read the 3rd book, and that's not what I want to do. I want to have a new market availability. So even though it'll say book 4, which is my thriller is book 4, but right at the front it says this is a standalone. You can enter and read this right now and understand everything that's going on. And oh, by the way, there's a 3-book prequel if you want. If you like this book, figure out here's the books that they'll show you how they got to where they are. And so I think that's going to be a good marketing opportunity on those. So on long series, make sure you've got separate entry points for readers, so you don't always have to get a subset of a subset. Because if you have a 10-book series and you have a 90% read-through rate on every book, by the 10th book, you've got 3 people reading the book or 2 people reading the books, as opposed to the first book when you had 10 people reading the book.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and if you're doing a follow-on series, now you're targeting those 2 people as opposed to trying to get all 10 new. Even though you can do it all on sale and you can sell the whole series again, it's still having that as separate entry point. So that's what I'm going to do with those 3. I've promised a book 2 and a separate thriller series. The thriller I wrote 5 years ago that I think was my best book ever, but it didn't sell that well. So we're rejuvenating that. And the 4th book in the Ian Bragg thriller series, I made it a crossover. So I included that character from 5 years ago. And so he'll have his 2nd book. So now I've got hopefully get the synergy between those 2 series, because Ian Bragg has sold really well. So try to get the synergy and bring the Rick Bannock thrillers into the fore. Not so old content bringing to new readers, and that's the value of a backlist. So being able to churn out books quickly and be okay with them not selling right away is a good long-term business proposition if the books are good. Going back to make sure you always write the best book you can, but don't realize by perfection saying, I can't publish this because I don't think it's perfect yet. You don't know what perfect is. Your readers do. Your readers will give you a pass on certain things and not on others. So it's got to be to the genre. It helps if you read the genre you're writing in, because then you can make sure you hit what the expectations are for those readers, and then keep building your list. And that's one thing I've concentrated on over the last 2 years, is building my own personal list. So 12,000 folks now that are looking for my stuff that are still there. My unsubscribe rate is really low because they all came in for a reason. And I have a 5 email onboarding sequence that by the time they get to the end, hey, they're there. They understand why they're there. They understand me. They got the Alaska connection, and they like getting my newsletters every Monday generally. So,
yeah, well,
you make your own luck in this business. You make your own luck by doing certain things.
Hmm. Well, I think the one thing that is, in some respects, it's hard in the industry, but it's also good, is like, you do have to wait 60 days for your money. But in this case, like, you can actually plan. So like what I've taken away from what you've said is, so like, um, here we are, we're coming to the end of October. That's for publishing. That's the end of 2021.
That's right.
Right. That's it. We're done. We're going to know how the year's going to end.
Earn your tax money.
Yep.
By the end of this month to make your final estimated payment and be good.
This is it. So then all this cool stuff that's going to happen in November and December actually becomes cash in January, February. So what you have to kind of be ready for is March, April is you're going to be kind of your cash flow drought that you have to just be prepared for.
Well, and that's the good point is, for 2022, what am I going to do if I only publish 6 books? Marketing. I need to focus more on marketing, and I'm going to spend more time each day with ads and pushing and trying to get those books in front, because I've got sufficient backlist. I don't need to write another book ever in order to make great money year in, year out. So, but I like writing. So that's why I keep generating new content, because I like writing. I like telling stories. I like the characters that I have in long series and writing more stories in those series. So I'm good with that. So I will always have new books coming out, but I need to get those old books into more people's hands. And so that's one thing that I'm going to really focus on in 2022, and see if we can fill any gaps in a revenue stream with old content and publish a book once every 6 weeks, every 2 months.
Very cool. All right, man. Well, it's always good catching up with you, but it's even going to be better to be seeing you again in a couple of weeks.
2 weeks from today, I fly to Vegas to make sure that I get everything set up before the weekend. And then come Monday morning, it's rock and roll.
Yeah. We get in on that Sunday and we leave Friday, but yeah, we're excited. We're real excited.
Good.
Awesome. Well, it's good talking to you again. I really appreciate, taking the time to keep being so open book about your business and helping people understand all the ins and outs.
There's a lot to do in this business, but you only need to learn what you need to know when you need to know it. You don't have to know everything before you publish that first book. I say it's better to know nothing, so you aren't overwhelmed with all this other stuff you'll eventually do before you publish that first book, because otherwise you're just never going to hit publish. And you assume, the best assumption is that first book isn't going to sell. And that's a great assumption, because then you don't have you aren't ready to get tanked thinking, oh my God, I only sold, I saw somebody say, I only sold 300 copies of my first book in that first month. My God, what am I going to do? You should celebrate the high heaven, buy champagne and treat yourself. My God.
Yeah.
I sold 53 total copies of my first book. Total ever.
That's such a hard thing. You know that I do these calls. Just had a bunch of, in fact, I'm gonna have more today, of 20 books people, where I give them 30 minutes of my time where I talk. And when I say stuff like that, like, hey, do you understand that 80% of the people that try this don't even finish writing the book? So you write the book, now you're in this elite group. And if your first book
you're in an elite group.
That first book, if it's made more than $1,000, now you're in the top 5% of the industry. Really? It's Now the rest, that curve is straight up. There's a big difference.
Steepens pretty fast.
Yeah. But at the bottom level, that's what, there's a lot of people, when you start looking at the numbers, and it's there's over 8 million titles out there, and it's from 120,000 and up that's selling a book a day or more. That means that's less than 1.5% of the titles are earning, selling a book a day. That's horrific.
Yeah.
But that doesn't, if that discourages you, that's okay. That's all right. You probably shouldn't do this.
it is a tough business, absolutely. But damn, yeah, people don't understand that you're going to suck. You suck until you don't, and the only way you suck less is you start finding readers, and it starts with 2, 3, then 5, then 10, and it takes a long, long time to get to 12,000. I think, and we're not recording now.
We are recording.
Oh, are you? Oh, okay. So it's recording. Okay. Yeah. So we won't talk about that.
Yeah. Hold that one for later.
But the getting it right. This is a hard business. However, it's my escape. The conference is my full-time job, and writing a book, I get to write a book. Holy cow. I get positive emails from, I got 2 this morning alone, just 2 that are like, oh man, I love your stories. Thank you for writing. Please keep writing. And somebody, hey, I love this latest book. Oh my God, it drew me in and I wanted to keep reading. And I'm getting, because of the new book, I'm getting 30 to 40 reviews a day, new reviews on all of my books. Because people are reading that and going into my backlist. So nothing sells the last book like the new book. And having that out there, people are diving into my backlist. So that is getting bumped up with no additional advertising costs. So good months, October, November, December, even with the conference. And the conference, I've got books that will publish, and I'm just hands off because I'm going to be doing the conference. And the hands off isn't that I have somebody else doing it. No. It's just the readers are expecting it. The newsletter will go. And so I'm double jammed on work next week, trying to get stuff all set up for exactly that. But the newsletter will go, and I don't have to worry about any of that. I can just focus on making sure the attendees are happy, satisfied, getting the content they need, making sure they have the information they need to get the most from the conference, and all of the stuff that causes friction to people. So you've seen that I've been on a tear with new posts and new information on, hey, look at this. Here's the restaurant listing. Here's this list. Here's a map of the conference center. Here's all of this stuff just to help alleviate some friction. Unknowns are the greatest cause of disdain, and people will fill it with the worst stuff possible. So I'm filling all of the information voids that I can on Vegas right now, and will over the next 2 weeks.
Awesome. Well, let's let you get back to writing words and answering what type of soap is in the hotel and all that fun stuff that you have to do as a conference.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, man. It was great having you on again.
Peace, fellow humans.